Hello and welcome to the Bramble Patch. My name is Wendy and we've got Alicia on technicals today. Thank you for joining us and thank you for all the lovely messages that we've been receiving from you, and we're very pleased that you're enjoying the tutorials. Again, we've still got lots lined up for you, so do keep tuning in and watching what we've got coming up in the future. Today I'm going to be doing a little placemat. It's a darling little placemat which you can do with or without a pocket, and you can personalise them. So here we go. This one, I've just popped the little tea bag in. We're going to do a cup today, and I'll talk you through the different things you can do with them at the end of the tutorial. So to start off with, this is a range of fabric that I'm using today from the Bramble Patch. And let's get started. So I'll pop that over here. So to start off with, what we need to do is cut our fabrics. So out of 2 fat quarters, you can actually make 2 placemats, okay? But I do them the opposite way round. So today I'm using green and cream. So one of the mats will have a green cup and the other one would have a cream cup, okay? And they're really fun to do. So to start off with, all we need to do is actually layer the fabrics wrong sides together, like so, okay? And we need to cut one diagonal line straight the way across. Doesn't matter which way. I did actually draw lines on here, so it doesn't matter which way, as long as you do one diagonal cut on your fabric, okay? We'll just set that aside. Once we have done that, oops, just take our pins out. What we're going to do is lay them on top, so we get one of the green fabrics and one of the cream, and we're just going to join them across, like so. All right. What we need to do now is actually square them up. Now we want to square it up to 2 by 4 inches. You can use a ruler if you're more experienced, but you might find it easier to make yourself a little template. You can do it just out of a piece of paper, or you can actually do it out of the correct template plastic that you use for quilting, okay? If you want to do it by paper, all you need to do is cut a 2 by 4 inch rectangle out and draw lines across it. Likewise, you do exactly the same with the template plastic. All you will need to do then is to lay your template so that the drawn line is on the seam that you've sewn along the rectangle, and then just cut around it. If you're using a paper one, I would be inclined to actually pop a couple of pins in here. Would help if I wasn't pinning through there. There we go. And just pop one on the other side, like so. When you do it, just make sure that you can press the heads of the pins in far enough to actually make sure you're not going to catch them with a rotary cutter. Again, I would use flat pins, because if you're putting a ruler on top of it, it's going to pivot and then it won't be very accurate. So once you've done that, you cut those out and then you will have your rectangles. This is at the point where you need to decide whether you want your cup to be cream or green, okay? So we're going to do a green one today. It's a green cup that we're going to do. So those 2 pieces are cut ready. Now we need to cut the center of the cup. So I've already got these cut out so we can see exactly what we're doing. So this is the green fabric that I've cut ready for the center of the cup, okay? And that needs to be cut 3.5 inches wide by 4 inches high, so the height of the cup. And this is going to sit in the middle here. Now, if you don't want to put a pocket on it, you just sew these two together and here. If you would like to have a pocket to insert something, a gift, a tea bag or anything else as we go further down the line, we need to make the pocket. Now, this is the pocket. And again, it needs to be 3.5 inches wide, the same width as we've cut for this. And I've cut this 5 inches high. And all we need to do then is just fold that in half and then put the raw edges at the bottom. Okay, this will give us our pocket to put insert something into. So if you want the pocket, that's what we do. And all we're going to do now is just sew these side pieces to it. So I've got one that I've already prepared. Here. Okay, so we do need to have the seam allowances at the bottom, because a cup generally has something that it actually sits on into a saucer. Okay, and here we've already got the pocket, which is open at the bottom. You can see my finger here. Okay, so what we need to do now is make the saucer. Now, I'm not going to quote the width of the piece of fabric we need, because if you're using a foot that maybe not being accurate, 1/4 inch, or you want to do it generous, the width of this will change. So all you need to do is measure the length across the bottom of your block, and then cut a piece of fabric out of the same as the cup fabric, the length of the block, 1.5 inches high. So here, I've already done that. And then we're going to cut 2 squares. The squares need to be cut out of the background fabric, and they're going to be 1.5 inches square. And all we're going to do is we're going to draw a line diagonally and sit it on the corner. Now, when you sew this on, I would suggest, instead of sewing directly on the drawn line, just sew a hair's breadth to the other side towards the bottom edge of the fabric. This allows then for the rollover, so it doesn't make it too short. Once you've actually sewn it, just roll it over to make sure it gives you a perfect 90-degree corner. And then once you've done that, flip it back and then just cut that off. And there you can see that one's all pinned in place ready. Okay, so once we've done that, all you need to do then is sew that to the bottom of your cup. And that then will seal that bottom compartment for the pocket. Just set that aside. So this is the stage we've now got to. We've got the cup, the saucer, and the pocket. So all we need to do now is add the side pieces. Now, again, I'm not going to quote the length of it, because just in case your foot is slightly different width to what I'd be using, just double check the length of the side of the block you're doing. So you always do side, side, top, bottom. And any of the ladies that are watching that are in my classes, they remember that every time, because I quote that continually, side, side, top, bottom. Okay, so the width that you use the fabric here is entirely up to you. It depends how large or small you would like your block to be. Okay, so I've got some pieces cut here, which I have cut 3 inches. So all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to stitch 1 to each side and then the top and bottom. So here we go. These are such fun to make. I'll be honest with you, when I started to make these, I got a little bit carried away and I found I was getting quite addictive. I have actually got them made in coffee cups and all sorts of things. And there's a twist that you can do with these, but I'm not going to reveal that because that will be another demo further down the line. But let's just say I rather enjoyed it. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that edge along and trim that off, making sure that I've got my ruler straight here. Set the seam and roll it out. Do exactly the same with the other side. Because you don't need very much fabric to do these, as long as you've got the cup and the surrounding area in one fabric, you can do the outside borders in different fabrics if you choose to. I'm currently using Christmas fabric because the reason I thought I would do it like this is because these make lovely little gifts. And if you belong to a quilting group, I used to be involved in a couple of quilting groups, and we used to do gifts for each other at Christmas. So these are inexpensive to make, really fun, and you can personalise them. So I thought this would be quite a nice little tutorial to do. So you've got plenty of art time to prep these in advance. Okay. Now just pop one on the top and the bottom, and then we'll take it from there. The nice thing about doing these is there's nothing fancy you need for it. It's all very, very basic, nothing, no fancy feet, no fancy equipment, and really good. There will be a download for this available if you've subscribed to with us. I'm not quite sure when they'll come out with this tutorial, but there certainly will be one shortly. And I don't seem to have bought enough fabric, so we've only got a top to that. I've hidden it somewhere, but never mind. This is what happens. There we go. Like so. Okay. So I'm just going to trim that off there. Okay. So you would put a piece of this along the bottom edge as well. And I do tend to keep all of these four sides the same width. You don't have to, but it just balances it quite nicely. So all we need to do now to actually make it look like a cup is to actually put a handle on it. Now on the download, when it comes through to you, there will be two different shaped handles, and I'll show you those in a little while. So what I'm going to do, we're just going to use a very, very simple bonder-webbed handle. If you want to, you can actually do bias binding if you choose to, but I don't want to get too complicated because these just run up so quickly, they take no time at all. So I'm going to do a little bonder-web handle. Now, I'll talk about bonder-web in case people are not terribly comfortable using it. So bonder-web, if you don't know, it's like greaseproof paper on one side, and on the opposite side it has glue. Okay, just be careful, do not get glue on your iron, else you won't be very happy with yourself because it's a little bit difficult to get off. You can get it off, but it's not something I would choose to do. So first of all, what we want to do is actually choose the design that we're going to put on here. So just so that you can actually see nicely what I'm doing, I've already got a handle done out, but I'll just use a shape. So on the smooth side of the bonder-web, I'm just going to place a shape, and I have a pencil, just an ordinary pencil, and I'm just going to go around the edges of the shape that I have here, like so. Okay, now once we've got the shape on there, we need just to cut this out. Do not cut it out on the drawn line. You need to have at least 1/4 inch all the way around it. And it doesn't matter whether it's neat or anything, we can just snip away. So that's what we've got. So now what we want to do is we need to press this onto the fabric. Okay, so I've just got a piece of fabric here, and we need to press the glue part of the bonder web onto the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, and because you can see through the bonder web, you can actually select the area that you want to use on your fabric, which is called fussy cutting. Okay, so we can just make a selection. This is just a fabric that I randomly picked up. So let's just have that here. So all I'm going to do is lay there. Now I do use a Teflon sheet generally. Again, there's going to be a tutorial on that quite soon because you can do quite a lot of things with Teflon sheets other than just using it to protect your iron. So all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to place my iron on the smooth side of the bonder web, like so. Okay. Now the trick of this is now to leave the material and the bonder web to cool down. It only takes a few minutes. If you start to cut the bonder web before it's cooled down, you still stand a chance of it fraying. If you wait for it to cool down properly, the glue is set and it won't fray. The other reason you don't want to cut the bonder web whilst it's still warm is because the glue is still warm and it will adhere to the blades on your scissors and it will blunt your scissors, and then you've got to clean them up. So for the sake of a few minutes, that is now completely cold and I can actually just cut away. So I'll just cut a few little bits. So now I'm actually cutting it on the line to maintain the shape that I need it to be, like so. Now I'm not going to cut this all the way around, but what I am going to do, I'm just going to nip this off, and then I'm going to show you actually how to remove the bonder web. So you can see you get a nice crisp line where it's been cut. But what we don't want to do is pick away at the edge here to try and remove the backing, because that again encourages it to fray, and it really isn't necessary. All you need to do is take a pin or a needle and score it straight the way across, quite firmly. Then if you press the fabric in half and get the bonder web, because it's cooled down completely, this will just come away in one piece. And that way you don't get frayed edges. See? And there's not a fibre at all around those edges that I cut. So that's how you remove the backing of bonder web, to make sure you don't get any fraying. Okay? So here, I've already got a handle that I've drew out. So I'll just do quickly the same again. And again, I'm going to do it so I've actually got a little leaf on the handle to make it a little bit decorative. So I've got glue side down on the wrong side of my fabric. I'm just going to move that around a little bit just so it cools down, and that will go down very, very quickly indeed. If it's still warm and you try to remove the backing fabric, you'll find that the glue comes away and the paper will tear and you won't get it off all in one go. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to, that's cold enough for me now to just cut off. So I'm just cutting it out. And when you cut, do make sure you open your scissors and use the blade right from inside here. Don't just use the tip, open your scissors up. Nice sharp pair of scissors. And when you get to the corners, just roll your fabric round. That way you get a nice rounded curve and you don't get jagged pieces on it. Like so. I'm going to do the same. So when I get to a curve, I go right into the edge of the blade, I roll it around, and by the time I've got to the point, I'm actually round the corner. And again, I'm going to open it up, roll it all the way around. Like so. And now I have a handle. So, as you can see, when I laid it on, I tried to make sure I'd got several pieces of the pattern of the fabric, so it didn't look too plain. So all I need to do now is remove the backing from the bonder web. And because I've gone round a corner, I'm just going to score that around there a little bit. And I'm hoping you can't hear it because it's absolutely pouring with rain here. And it's really beating on the roof and on the windows. So I'm hoping that doesn't come out on the sound quality. So there we go. That is the bonder web off of there. So I'm just going to transfer my piece onto my woolen mat here, and then just play with the position of your cup and look how quickly it transforms it. So if you want to overlap the cup, that's fine. If you want it sitting on the edge, if you want to put it an ankle, whichever way. I quite like that. That works for me. No, I'm going to put it a little bit lower. I'm liking that. That's good. And all I'm going to do, I'm literally going to stamp. I don't want to move it about because I don't want the corners to kink because it's quite narrow. And now I have a handle on the cup. So once this had the other piece on the bottom, all that remains to be done then is to put the outside border, either again from the same fabric of the cup or a contrasting fabric, and then layer it up and quilt it. You don't have to do fancy quilting at all. So I've just got a couple here to show you. On this one, I have actually stitched in the ditch. So if you stitch in the ditch, that means you are stitching where the two fabrics join. I tend to use invisible thread on the top and just an ordinary 100% cotton in the bobbin. If you stitch in the ditch on anything, it doesn't matter whether it's a quilt or a wall hanging or anything, you must press the seams to one side. Never press the seams open, because if you press the seams open and you're stitching here in between, all you're stitching through is thread and it weakens your quilt. So therefore, your quilt won't last as long, particularly if it's laundered a lot. If you have the seams and you press them to one side and stitch it, it will prolong the length of the life of the quilt. Okay, so I've stitched in the ditch all the way around, and then I've just done a little echo stitch all the way around the cup. On this one, I've just used the width of my foot, and I've gone all the way around the block once, and again, and again, and again. Nothing fancy. The binding, you saw me do a tutorial on it before, so just revert back to that tutorial to see how that's done. Here, I've got two here. I've actually got the opposite one. So you can see, I said we could do two. So this one has the cream cup. So these two have come out of 2 fat quarters, but that doesn't include the binding or the backing. They are extra. And as I said before, I've played a lot. This is a pretty little one that actually goes into my workroom at home. But you don't have to do cups. And we all know that on occasions, we actually have to do something for the gentlemen in our lives. And I don't think my husband would very much appreciate something like that. So my husband loves growing cacti. So I made him this little placemat, and inside it, I put a packet of seeds for him. So all it is, it's the same, it's a cup without the handle. And I just elongated it, made it a little bit bigger. You can do mugs. They are really nice if you've got somebody that likes football and you want to make a gift of a ticket for them to go and see a football match, or somebody that enjoys going to a show. Make one large enough with a pocket to pop in a little gift card or a ticket for something. And then that becomes very, very personal. If you've got people coming around for dinner at Christmas, actually this could be the mat that where they're going to sit with a little gift inside it. Instead of in a cracker, it can be in here. Or my children have received them in the past with a little note saying, there's a present for you behind the sofa. So there we go. That brings us to the end of the tutorial on this darling little placemat. Hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Wendy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for Alicia's continuing support, and stay safe from all the bramble babes here. Thank you. Bye-bye.